I am a Buddhist monk. I often get auto-corrected as Amanda, but my real name is Ananda. I am Ananda, a Buddhist monk of Theravada tradition. And you did yoga earlier, and we are going to do meditation now. But before we start meditation, we do also a bit of Dhamma sharing. Now, there's a word called Dhamma or Dharma. It is Sanskrit / Pali. Both are two very old languages. Most of the Buddhist scripture, especially the Theravada form of Buddhist scripture, is written in Pali language. It's not used, it's a dead language like Hebrew. But the word Dhamma means, what do you think it means? Have you heard it before? Dhamma, Dharma. What does it mean to you? Some people think of it as, teachings, teachings, doctrine, discourse. People think that way. But the etymological meaning of that is very simple. Dhamma means nature, right? When you say nature, not the nature where there are beavers and fauna and flora, but the nature of our conscious experience, our existence, right? Now, having said that, this is a bottle, right? But is it really a bottle? I introduced you to you as a Buddhist monk, but am I really a Buddhist monk? Now, you might, people who knows me, they would know that I'm a Buddhist monk. My name is Ananda, and then so many other things based on the interactions you have had with me. But if you take someone from the North Pole, an Inuit, an Eskimo, he's in front of me now. If we ask him, what do you see? He will say that I see a man in a weird-looking robe, right? Like I get misidentified when I every time go out. They ask me, what is this? Some people think I'm Arabic. It's like a Maasai robe or Arabic robe. But they would not see me as a Buddhist monk. But people who know me, people who knows Buddhism, you see me as a Buddhist monk. So am I really a Buddhist monk, or are you seeing the things which are already in your mind and sort of interpreting this image based on what you have in your mind already, right? So that's a question that we can ask. And because I mentioned about the conscious experience, this is a bottle for people who know that it's a bottle, right? So if you look at things around this room, everything has a name, everything has a meaning behind it, a name and a meaning. We can call the name and the meaning form, just for the time being, form, name and form, nama rupa. The form is basically the conceptual idea you have about it. There's candles, a Tibetan bowl, flowers, and in fact, everything in this room has a name and has a form, a conceptual meaning to it. If there's something that you don't recognize, like this, you know that it's an object which does not have a name and which I do not have a conceptual idea about, right? So pretty much everything in this room has a name and a form. Now, this name and form, does it lie with the object or does it lie with you? When I say you, individually you might think that this bottle is a conscious experience, like a collective conscious experience. But it's not, it's a personal experience. Different people in this room would relate to things differently. And I don't know why I started talking about this, probably because I met Colleen early in the morning and she said something that I have said earlier with some of our friends, that good and bad, what is tasty, what is not tasty, what is good smell, bad smell, it all lies in your name and form, right? Which is in your mind. Maybe there's a hard limit, like cold, for example. -50 is cold for all the humans, regardless. Maybe not cold for a different species, like I see a lot of squirrels, beavers, they are out in the freezing weather. It's okay for them, but for most humans, it's extreme weather. +40 is hot for everyone. But my face might be a good face for some, might be a bad face for some. It's in your form and name in the mind. And when you look at this name and form, Namarupa, you will also notice that it's a beautiful phenomena. It's a phenomena of two opposites always trying to work together and getting into this equilibrium point. What do I mean by that? If you look at a hockey game, there's Toronto Maple Leafs and who else? Boston, yeah, Boston. What do you call them? Boston
Bruins.
Bruins.
Boston Bruins.
Bruins. Okay, Boston Bruins and Maple Leafs. So they are trying to shoot the opposite goal, and both of them, the two teams, they have a completely opposite goals. But in order for there to be a match, they need to work in unison, right? If one team says, well, we are not going to play, then there will be no match, right? And it goes to every human interaction we have. The case in point is my parents. They fight a lot, like literally. They not that they physically fight, but they argue a lot. Early in the morning, they argue a lot. Even this time when I went back, they are still arguing. They are pretty old people. But you know what? They argue because that's their entertainment also. That keeps them going. Right? It's their morning coffee. They like arguing. And in fact, if you look into the human relationship, I met another lady whose husband passed away, and she was missing that argument every day that she would have in the morning, right? Our interactions are between two opposites trying to work in unison and finding that equilibrium. We love going to the cold in a warm jacket, right? We like going to the warm weather with an air condition or a fan, right? We like getting out of our comfort zone and getting into some adventurous adrenaline activity, but we also want to come back to the safety, right? So it's a continuous battle in our mind that we want to have the safety. At the same time, we also want to seek the thrill, which is in the risky side, out of the comfort zone. So it's a continuous battle of going to both these extremes. Even our mind, assume that you are happy forever, you'll be very bored with that, right? If you're happy forever, like in the heaven, you're going to be very bored of the heaven. But if you're sad forever, that is also very boring. In fact, you can't be sad forever. So it's a continuous switch between the sadness and the happiness, the frustration and the euphoria. So which brings us to this nature of mind, or the Dhamma of mind, that we are all bipolar, right? It's a nature of mind. Now what we are going to do is, which is absolutely not related to what I discussed. That's what I do every day. What we are going to do is not related to what we discussed. Buddhism is actually not based on meditation. Contrary to popular belief, Buddhism is not based on meditation. It's based on this idea called how do you change your way of thinking, or samadhi. But in order to get there, meditation might help, especially mindfulness might help. Mindfulness definitely helps. But then you would also misinterpret that mindfulness and meditation are the same thing. They are also not. Because a lot of kids come here. When they come here, they don't sit and meditate like you old people, right? When I say old compared to the kids, right? You are all baby boomers, or boomers according to them. So they don't sit and meditate like this, but they can be very mindful too in whatever they are doing. In fact, they are much equipped to be mindful than the adults, because adults are trained in a particular way to think in a particular way through our schooling, through our parental education, through society. We are thinking in a particular way. We do not know how to become mindful, but we know how to think, right? So what we are going to try next is the opposite of thinking, which is not thinking. Have you done that before? Not thinking. Can you think and give me an answer if you have done it or not, right? You might think it's a simple thing, but it's one of the most difficult things to do in the world. Not think, unthink, right? The easy thing to do is the thinking. So the next few minutes, we are going to at least try to not think, but don't do it outside the meditation room. If you don't think in your day-to-day life, that's a bad thing. You need to think, right? Our day-to-day life is based on thinking, which also gets you into this stress, right? Thinking to a particular amount is good, it's desirable, but once you pass that point, it's a stress, right? It can be, even if it's a euphoric thinking, you can get really stressed out in euphoria, right? So what we are going to do is, for the next few minutes, temporarily, you might be having a lot of work to do in the next few minutes, right? Next few days, like even when you get back home tonight, you might have certain things to do, but we are going to temporarily disconnect from all that. We have a to-do list, task list. We are going to put a pause on all those tasks temporarily. Tomorrow, day after, it can be done later after the meditation session. We can take it up after the meditation session. There's a term in the corporate world called parking lot. When you're in a meeting and when there's a lot of side discussions, you hold that idea, put them in the parking lot and revisit them later, but not during the main discussion. So the same way, you are going to put all your task lists to the parking lot and then take it up later. And whatever which has happened in your life since coming to this monastery for the first time, opening the door, seeing whom you saw today, including what you had for lunch today, breakfast today, what you had for dinner yesterday, what you had for dinner on October 22nd, 2024, everything is in the memory right now. They are all memories that we can recall, but they are not even complete memories, they are partial memories. So we are not going to bring back all these memories temporarily for the time being. We are going to put them in the parking lot again, right? And we are not going to analyze anything or understand anything. Trust me, you don't want to understand these things, because understanding is part of our thinking mind. And this is not something you do with the thinking mind. So these are the few rules that we have here, right? At least during the meditation for today. And these rules are not rules that we have every day. Each day is a different set of rules, right? So with that, we are going to start our meditation and then see if we can understand a little bit of Dhamma, not through discourse, not through discussion or reading a book, by through really seeing your own nature.